Hello! Welcome to my first voice recorded video. In this video, I will put my 3D character creation progress on full display. Despite not actually being much of a talker, I will try my best to fill the space with commentary about my experience. Let's say as a friendly little challenge, I will pin the first commenter who can guess my accent. Good luck! So, with all that covered, want to see my progress on how I learned to create in Blender? No? Then why'd you click on this video? If yes, welcome! Grab a drink and a few snacks because this is going to be a long video. And despite the length, it took me way over 6 months to complete. That is because this challenge is my first time using Blender to recreate my Griffin character. You see, before Blender, I come from the other side of the 3D spectrum called Autodesk Maya, a soul-crushing PC crashing program, definitely an industry standard for sure. It's not entirely cruel, but Blender does prove to be a formidable competitor to Maya. Both have their ups and downs. Back to my progress. The navigation controls were odd to get comfortable at in the beginning, but on lucky occasions I can learn quickly. So, I started blocking out my character. Her name is Lyrasimi, by the way. In Maya, I used to skip the blocking and sculpting phase and just straight up made the final piece from scratch. Here is how she initially looked, my first version of her. At this point, I wasn't really sure how my rig would turn out. I made subtle changes to the design throughout the process, mostly on the feathers and the wings. I might even change the wings again after this video if posing them becomes too complex. I want to see if I can make cute little shorts with this rig after. I'm trying to build a story around this character. I do have interesting ideas for her, but putting it on paper with a proper story structure is quite challenging. So, I think if I just start small, it could make storytelling for me less intimidating. I don't think the shorts will be connected to one another, but it will showcase her personality. I don't have much to say during this process other than enjoying it and figuring out how to make the shapes look practical for my character. So I'll let this montage play out until we reach the next step. So, making a comparison, I think sculpting in Blender is very fun. My PC is thankfully strong enough to run all these heavy-duty tasks, but connecting those toes were very tricky. Next time, it would be best if I just joined the entire blocking mesh group into one piece before sculpting over it. So my idea on sculpting my griffin is to find the hard edges and blend any unnecessary creases and indents without influencing the overall shape too much. Because if you get lost in thought too deep, you could end up with a deflated character or just ruin the whole silhouette shape. The process is nice and therapeutic, but it was only a smokescreen of what was waiting for me in the next phase, and I was not prepared for what was to come. Rigging. Something that still shoots a shockwave through my spine. Why? Because it's a process that makes things complicating. Let's just say sometimes when you change one bone function, and it might break another. Although the body, legs and tail were relatively easy to place, I was stuck on the facial rig for the longest time. And let me just ask here, why is there a large gap in the algorithm when it comes to facial rigging tutorials? And the ones I do find uses a plugin that creates its own rig, which does not apply when you have to make a highly customized and completely unique griffin face. From my own experience, if you want to learn something independently, you have to learn it from scratch, with no plugins and stuff like it to hold your hand and do all the work for you. Only after you get the idea of how things actually work, then you can go crazy with all those neat stuff. That's just my general rule on how I learn new things. Not sure if it applies to every situational crumb, but it helped me this far, so. If any of you listening want me to make a facial tutorial from scratch, I'll be willing to make one, but I can't tell if people will be interested unless they literally tell me otherwise. It's not like I can read minds. I just feel like populating the system with a proper tutorial will help prevent other people like me from pulling out my hair. Anyways, if you could tell, I was actually learning on the go, watching YouTube and going through the official website for any obstacle I came across, which there were plenty, but all was not lost, as I took the main principles of rigging to heart and figured out how to apply it to my own rig, learning all the bone constraints and which bones they should affect within the skeletal hierarchy. For my next step, we need to sort out the wings. Oh, the pretty yet complicated piece of the puzzle. I went back and forth as I learned how to create IK-FK switches. I apologize, but this video will be too long if I were to explain every single scientific term I use. But like in exam sessions, just act like you know what it means and I'm sure you'll survive the consequences. Okay, back to the wings. It ended up breaking my whole rig for some reason. But you see, in a situation like this, I would curl up under a running shower head and cry. But thankfully, I am a pro at paranoia, who have been saving new separate file versions after every big change. And again. And again. Seriously, this is how my project folder looked when I was done. My college mentor would be so proud. I just want to say, and Maya, if you're listening, take notes. Blender is somehow able to let you edit the rig including weight painting, adding more edge loops and bones without imploding your character into oblivion. Which means you can still edit your finished rig version at any stage. Although I do need to take one star away from Blender. Referencing my rig into an open scene was proven difficult and rather unclear. The terms they used were either called linking or append, instead of referencing. That itself is not the issue. However, linking is sometimes broken and adjusting the rig's bones specifically doesn't transfer to the linked version correctly. I hope I'm making sense. So if you're planning to make any adjustments in that regard, I would suggest focusing only on weight painting and mesh changes preferably. If you understand your skeletal bone structure, weight painting can be fun. Just make sure that the bones move the correct part of your character's body and the weight value does not go higher than 1. Just trust me on that. And that was my last phase of creating my character. Like the big man Richard Williams himself, I am a perfectionist, but one who does know their own limits. It's okay if my first rig looks special in her own way. At least I got to learn another brand new program. So, for everyone who watched until the end, thank you. For that reward, I will put up my professional reference list of all the tutorial videos and sites I followed to learn Blender. Try this guy's videos first, he's funny. Well, that's all I have to talk about. Not used to talking for so long, I can already feel my voice draining away. It might take me a week to recharge. Any thoughts, suggestions, criticisms you want to share? Feel free to do so through written commentary down below. Other than that, farewell.